Nonverbal communication is often a majority of the communication. Some people estimate that 95% of communication is nonverbal. A more conservative element is about 80% is nonverbal. However, whichever percentage I assume, a vast majority of communication is nonverbal, yet we spend very little time thinking about it. Even in this course, we spend very little time in contemplation of the nonverbal. However, in any given communication, the nonverbal elements usually determine the specific meaning of the message. The words have to be spoken with a voice that is nonverbal. We covered some of that before with pitch and enunciation and those things within the delivery of the message from Aristotle. You've spent some time in the reading about nonverbal communication as well. Some of the characteristics of nonverbal communication is that nonverbals are multidimensional communicative value, i.e., they have multiple simultaneous messages. Even on this presentation, you have a slide with some words on it, and you have a photograph. All of the photographs that are in these are ones that I took. They are my art. And so this shows a simple plant. It's actually an herb from my garden with the background faded out. But there's also a little bitty slide down in the corner of me talking live. You see me in my library or study at home, and you have multiple dimensions. You've got color, you have picture, you have words, you have numbers, there's books in the background, my talking head here in the foreground, multiple dimensions of simultaneous messages. Nonverbal communication is also primarily relational. It is so that we can relate to each other and relate, more importantly, to the message. Nonverbal communication is culture specific. There are some elements that transcend culture, but most of it has to be learned from culture. And even though nonverbal usually determines the precise understanding of a message, it is ambiguous. Without the words, you probably won't gain anything more than the relational context. Nonverbal communication exists in all communication situations. So regardless of what you are doing, your nonverbal communication is there. It is very efficient and powerful to communicate your voice to others. Some kinds of nonverbal communication: your facial expression, your eye contact, your voice or vocalics, the physical voice, your gestures, your body movement, your clothing. For example, I am wearing a shirt that I got in Maui called a red dirt shirt, and yet it is blue. A posture: I am leaning back in a chair, trying to I keep in the frame of the camera. I touch or haptics. I cannot reach and touch you through the camera, but I can touch the camera and make it a visual element. There is distance or proxemics. There is time or chronemics. Territory, such as this is my home and my library. And there is environment. This environment is both physical, my home, camera, electronically mediated, but it is being mediated through a school in which you are taking a class. So there are multiple environments involved in the nonverbal communication of this course. Meaning and intentionality are very important. Please try to interpret me and others in the best possible light. Human communication is a quest for meaning, shared meaning, and nonverbal communication is vitally important in that quest for meaning. And yet, it's largely unconscious, therefore, it communicates character. Intentional manipulation of nonverbal communication is something that, if it augments the message, then it is good. If it discovers mutual truth, it is wonderful. But it can be used to manipulate with power, and then it is bad. Nonverbal communication has virtues. Among the most important are integrity of the person, congruence, is it congruent with the message, and competence, is the meaning more clear because of it? And if the messages have virtues such as those, they will be interpreted by the audience with greater accuracy. But nonverbal communication also enables students to envision all of communication as important. Can you augment your own vision through your own nonverbal communication, and through that of others, understand them as people even more, and enter into that relationship between you and them and their message, as well as you, your message, and your audience. Virtue and vision go hand in hand in nonverbal communication.